Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are embarking on a truly fascinating journey. We're going to unlock the fundamental mathematical concepts that describe continuous change in our universe. If you've ever looked at a speeding rocket, a falling object, or even the wild fluctuations of the stock market and wondered, how do we actually measure that constant state of change? Well, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're going to decode the beautiful dynamic language of calculus, relying directly on our source text to guide us through this chapter.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the key to nature, dive into the falling body problem, approach the limit, explore the sandwich theorem, define the derivative, and finally, wrap things up with the algebra of change. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The key to nature, calculus and change.
You know, mathematics really isn't just a bunch of static numbers sitting on a chalkboard. It's the underlying language of our dynamic universe. The philosopher and mathematician Alfred North Whitehead actually elevates calculus to a whole new level here. He doesn't describe it as just some simple school subject or an isolated puzzle. No, he calls it the key. You see, before calculus, math was excellent at describing perfectly still things, geometry for shapes, standard algebra for fixed quantities. But nature isn't still, is it? Nature is in constant motion, and calculus is the exact tool designed to explain that motion. And it's important to remember that these advanced concepts weren't just invented for the sake of making math harder for us. They were born out of absolute necessity. The brilliant minds of the 17th century were literally hitting a brick wall trying to solve the physics problems of their time, things like predicting planetary orbits and understanding the acceleration of gravity. They desperately needed a new kind of mathematics. Moving on to Section 2. The falling body problem, measuring acceleration.
Let's ground all this abstract math in a real-world physical experiment presented right in our source text, an object drop from a cliff. Physical experiments confirm something quite beautiful. The distance covered by that falling body, let's call it s for distance in meters, over time, t in seconds, is given by this exact predictable equation, s equals 4.9 t squared. It's an accelerating curve. That means every single second it's falling faster than the second before. But here is where we hit a massive mathematical roadblock. We already know how to calculate average speed, right? You just divide total distance by total time. But what if I ask you, how fast is that object falling at exactly the 2-second mark? Not over an interval of 2 seconds, but at that exact frozen split second in time. Standard algebra completely struggles to calculate instantaneous velocity.
And this brilliantly illustrates the gap in our standard toolkit. If we want average speed over 2 seconds, it's super easy. But as we shrink the time interval to find the exact speed at exactly t equals 2, that time interval becomes 0. Our standard formula for speed is distance divided by time. So if the time interval is 0, we're dividing by 0. And as any math teacher will quickly remind you, dividing by 0 pretty much breaks the universe. The calculation completely fails.
Which brings us to Section 3. Approaching the limit, crossing the gap.
So, to safely cross this division by zero gap without breaking the fundamental rules of mathematics, we need to introduce a brand new, incredibly powerful concept. A limit isn't about what the function actually is at that exact blind spot. It's about the destination the function approaches as we get incredibly infinitesimally close to it. Imagine you're walking toward a bridge that you know is broken right in the middle. The limit isn't the gaping hole in the middle. The limit is the exact geographic coordinate you are arriving at just a fraction of a millimeter before you step into the hole.
This distinction between what a function is versus what it approaches is everything in calculus. For instance, our source text discusses the function of the absolute value of x divided by x. At exactly 0, it's totally undefined. We're dividing by 0 again. But by looking at the limit as we approach 0 from the right or the left, we can fully understand the behavior of the curve right up to the very edge of the cliff.
All right, Section 4. The sandwich theorem, trapping functions.
Let's see how this limit concept builds into an ingenious and honestly delightfully named rule for dealing with tricky trigonometric functions. I absolutely love this concept. Sometimes a function is so complex or messy that we just can't find its limit directly. But mathematically, we can literally sandwich our target function between two other, much simpler functions whose limits we already know perfectly well. A classic example from the text is the function sine of x divided by x as it approaches 0. Trying to calculate this directly just gives us 0 divided by 0. Total nightmare, right? But we can trap sine of x over x right between the cosine of x and the constant number 1. As we approach 0, the cosine of 0 naturally becomes 1. The constant 1 is, well, always 1. So our messy function is squeezed or sandwiched right between 1 and 1. By trapping it like this, we elegantly and visually prove its limit is exactly 1, without ever breaking any rules.
Section 5. Defining the derivative, the ultimate tool.
Now that we've got a really solid handle on limits, we're ready to unveil the ultimate tool in this explainer. The derivative is the formalized, perfect mathematical answer to our falling body problem. It is the absolute engine of calculus. By using the limit, the derivative allows us to bypass that division by zero trap entirely, giving us the exact instantaneous rate of change at any given single point on a curve.
So how does it actually work in practice? Well, we start with our position, f of x. We add a microscopic step forward in time, which we call h, giving us f of x plus h. We find the difference between where we are now and where we were a microsecond ago. Then, we divide by that tiny time interval h. Finally, and here's the real magic, we use our limit tool to shrink h infinitely close to 0. We aren't dividing by 0, we're taking the limit as we approach it. Boom! We have our exact instantaneous speed.
And finally, Section 6, the algebra of change, derivative rules.
Now, calculating that limit process from scratch every single time would be incredibly tedious, wouldn't it? But once mathematicians established the definition of the derivative, they realized they didn't have to do the heavy lifting manually every time. They discovered consistent patterns. These incredibly elegant rules, like the product rule, quotient rule, and especially the power rule, which tells us that the derivative of x to the power of n is simply n times x to the power of n minus 1. These allow us to rapidly compute the derivatives of incredibly complex formulas with absolute precision and speed.
It's truly profound when you step back and look at the big picture. From wondering about a simple rock falling off a cliff, we discovered a mathematical framework that actually describes reality itself. Because whether you are tracking the trajectory of a spacecraft, modeling a global pandemic, or predicting financial futures, calculus gives you the ultimate key to unlock the continuously changing universe around us. So armed with the limit and the derivative, what rate of change will you measure next?